Hello, my name is Eric, and today I'm going to show you how to remove and inspect the four-way spool on a PVG Series pump. This procedure is going to be the same for all displacements of the PVG pump. From our PVG 048 all the way up to our PVG 180, the four-way spool design and assembly is going to be identical. So the four-way spool is a small spool that's located in this cavity right here. Small movements of that spool, of course, translate into movements of the control piston, which changes the flow of the pump. And the reason we would want to inspect this spool is if we had a sudden loss of pressure or flow, usually caused by a piece of debris, an O-ring getting caught in the four-way spool. So it's very easy to check this spool. We can do it on the machine. What I'm going to do is loosen this plug right here, the 7/8 inch wrench, and remove that. And at this point, we're going to expose the end of the four-way spool. If I take my finger and I press on that, I will be feeling slight resistance. I'm pushing against a small spring. That spring's only about 1 inch long and 1/4 inch in diameter. So this feels good. It's moving freely. If I were to take off the cap and push on here and there were no movement, that would be a strong indication that I have a piece of debris caught in the four-way spool. So at this point, I can remove the four-way spool and I can check that. If there's a piece of debris or O-ring caught in here, I can clean that up. But most critically, I need to check the orifice in the center line. There is a 32 thousandths orifice in the center line of this spool. What I like to do is either look through the spool to be able to see through it, but better is if I spray some solvent in here to make sure that that orifice is clean. So once I verify that this is clean, I don't have any damage to the lands. What I like to do is flush this cavity to make sure that any debris that's in there or potentially caught in a cross drill is flushed out. So to do that, I'm going to leave the spool out and put the cap back in and tighten it. And yes, I realize the spring is still in there. That's all right. Just leave the spring there. So we'll tighten that. And what I'll do is I'll run the machine for 30 seconds or maybe a minute. We're not going to have any response out of the machine. The pump is only going to develop about 150 psi and no flow. But the control oil is going to flush out the cavity where the four-way spool was. So if anything is caught in there, it's going to flush through the cavity into the case and back to the reservoir. At this point, we'll secure our electric motor, our engine, we'll loosen and remove the cap. Now we can reinstall the spool and we're sure that the spool is clean, our orifice in the center line is clean, and we can put that spool back in. The spool only goes in one way. There's no way to put it in backwards. Again, I'll come up to the spring. The spring will seat at the end of the spool. Put our cap back on. And we'll tighten that using a 7/8 inch wrench. And at that point, we've inspected and cleaned the four-way spool. We're able to run the machine. And hopefully, if there was a piece of debris in there, it's been flushed out and the machine is going to work properly.